Namaste. Namaskara. Welcome to Sankatha, an initiative by RASAGRAAHI, an initiative of Sri Sai Raman Nritya Kendra Tumkur, ably supported by you all since 2 years. Sankatha is a journey, a sojourn of male dancers, internationally acclaimed male dancers of our incredible India. With the blessings of Almighty, seeking His blessings for a successful and a learning session of the evening today. I am very proud and I take this honor to welcome a great personality, a great human being, rather anything. I think, first of all, which is very much required and a true Indian, Shri Bijoy Shivram sir from Ahmedabad, who has been the consummate artist on the board today, interviewed for Sankatha. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sagar. Thank you very much.
This series of male dancer conversation has reached all corners of globe and we are receiving a very good feedback, and that is because of the profile and the journey and the messages which the people are getting through the interviews of great personalities through this forum. We are very thankful to each and every speaker who comes regularly accepting our invitation in this time, and that too during a busy schedule. So it's been a great learning session for all the viewers, and I take this honor to introduce today's artist. I would like to mention that we miss Vidushi Rupashri Madhusudan today. For unforeseen reasons, she is not able to join at the particular time. So I'll be doing the honors of reading out, and it's my really great opportunity I've got to introduce this great artist to you all. Shri Bijoy Anand Shivram started his training in classical dance at a very young age, both in Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi. He has been trained under Guru Srimati Kalamandalam Maithili in Chennai, Guru Sri Bhaskar Menon and Srimati Radha Bhaskar at Mudra School of Classical Dances, Ahmedabad, and Malika Sarabhai and Mrinalini Sayabai, the known names all over the world of Dharpana Academy, Ahmedabad, where he was trained under Sri Patagudi S. Ramasamy and Srimati Maheshwari Nagarajan and Srimati Radha Ramachandran and at the Guru Shishya Parampara mode. He's also an ardent disciple of Srimati Rama Shrikant at Vadodara. He was born in 1961 and he has since 1980 been giving performances all over the world as an accomplished classical and folk artist. In 1993, he was also very blessed and he got an honor of creating a record of by giving 144 performances in 120 days when he toured Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland. Other countries which he has visited for his performances, lecture demonstrations, workshops include the US, Canada, UK, France, Spain, Italy, Luxembourg, Holland, Germany, Belgium, Portugal, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Moscow, Leningrad, Odense, Kiev, Japan, Muscat, and many, many more. The list is still never ending. Bijoy sir in 1991 started Preksha. Preksha stands for Promotion of Art and Culture to create a platform for upcoming artists and renowned artists to Ahmedabad where they invite artists to Ahmedabad for workshops and performances. He's been very active as a choreographer and has directed and produced many dance dramas. Some of them to name from his big list are Adi Shankaracharya to Christ to Mrishchakatikam to the Shavataram to Ramayan to Hanuman, Mahatma Gandhi, the Pilgrim of Peace, on the last hours of the Father of Nation and his favorite bhajans, a varied variety and plethora of choreographic works which he has brought onto the stage. With this, he has been awarded with many, many honors, some of them which include the first prize and the Singaramani Award by the Sur Singar Samsad Mumbai, the first prize from the Gujarat State Sangeet Natak Academy dance competition. He stood first 2 years consecutively at the MS University Youth Festival. In 2007, he was awarded the prestigious Gaurav Puraskar by the hands of Srimati Anandi Ben Patel through the government of Gujarat Sangeet Natak Academy. He was one of the three non-Gujaratis and the only Keralite to receive this award on that year. In 2013, the mayor of Ahmedabad, Shri Asit Vora, and the municipal commissioner of Ahmedabad, Shri Guru Prasad Mahapatra, bestowed on Bijoy the highest award of the city, which is Sanskar Chora Award, at the Narsingh Mehta Arena during the celebrations of Ahmedabad's 603rd birthday. An honorary diploma by the president of Navarra, Spain, for having performed every day for 40 days, enlightening the pilgrims of St. Francis Xavier at his birthplace in Xavier. The Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, while he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat, congratulated him for successfully heading the GJ College of Performing Arts for 10 years during the celebrations Dashakotsavam in 2013. He was felicitated by great spiritual leader Shri Pramukh Swamiji for having choreographed all the dances of Mahila Divas during their Shatabdi Mahotsav, that is centenary celebrations in Ahmedabad, wherein lakhs of people attended the event and were spectacular about the event. He was invited by yet another great spiritual leader, Sri Ravi Shankar ji, at his ashram in Bangalore, and he was felicitated there. Recently, he was one of the 16 people nominated from all over the world and given the Messenger of Peace Award for his contribution through dance to spread peace. Through this organization called Priksha, Bijoy has been giving many charity performances for his first student, Niketa Ghia, dialysis patient. For her dream project, Bijoy has toured all over the country to collect funds for other dialysis patients too. Bijoy also organizes a lot of charity shows for underprivileged, specially abled, and leprosy patients too. The media has been given a lot of coverage to Bijoy sir's achievements, works, and also of Preksha for their commendable work. Bijoy sir is known for his great choreography, his teaching, and also as a great performer on stage. In the past 50 years, he has performed and given many solo and group performances in various prestigious festivals, including Tagore Festival in Japan, Festival of India in USSR, Meera Festival in Udaipur and Chittorgarh, the Midhilaya Festival in Trivandrum, the Brahmotsavam at Hyderabad, Kalidas Sammelan at Ujjain, and also prestigious Tata Theatre NCPA. He has given performances for dialysis, leprosy patients, and spastic children too. His latest production, Adi Shankaracharya, received rave reviews at London, Ohio, USA, and in India when performed at Natrani, a celebrated auditorium on the banks of Sabarmati River in Ahmedabad. Bijoy sir is presently working as the vice principal at the JG College of Performing Arts Ahmedabad and assistant director of operations of 21 colleges under GJ group of colleges. Such a great achievement and a great responsibility too. Through him, the college has performed in Spain, UK, and the US at prestigious venues, and the college has received brave reviews for the performances. Bijoy sir is active round the clock and round the year, and so he has been involved in at various capacities by various different organizations. To name a few, he works as a Senate member of the Gujarat University. He was elected uncontestedly. He is a member of Gujarat State Sangeet Natak Academy, Gandhinagar. He is a member of Lions Club International and has been president of Lions Club of Ahmedabad South in 2011. He was commended for great leadership during his tenure, and which is obviously seen through his achievements. He is a trustee of Sankhya Charitable Trust, a Mumbai based trust headed by renowned classical dancer Vaibhav Arekarji, member of the ad hoc study board of Gujarat University Performing Arts Division. He's a trustee of Sangeethalaya Academy of Performing Arts, Chennai, a member of the Gujarat State Lalit Kala Academy, Ahmedabad. He is a co-op member of the Ahmedabad South Indian Association, assistant director operations for around so many 20 more colleges under JG Group of Colleges. His service continues in a very different way and a unique way. Even during the lockdown, we he has coined a great festival and initiative through JG College of Arts, calling a festival called Guru Dakshina, which I was also a fortunate part of it, and some of my students also have been performing now in those festivals. It's which is like, even though it's an online festival, it's been reviewed and previewed in the great media, print and press media. We have visual media also covering, including the Ahmedabad Mirror and other prestigious newspapers of the city. And here we have this ever charming, energetic academician par excellence, performer par perfection, and an ardent devotee and an ardent seeker of knowledge, and a great Bharatanatyam artist, Sri Bijoy Anand Shivram, sir. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. That was quite a hard introduction about me. In fact, I am somebody who loves to dance, and that is the only reason why I'm here. And along the way, a lot of these things have happened, and I'm fortunate, I'm blessed. My parents, my gurus, and it's all because of them that whatever I am today, I am able to do. So, first of all, I would like to remember all of them, and thank you very much, Sagar, for this long, long, long introduction.
No, sir. Actually, it was more so for the time being. I just edited a little bit because personality like you, we couldn't remove some things or add some things to it. But for the time constraints, we had to edit it a little bit. And sorry for that, sir.
Not at all.
How did it all began, sir? We would like to hear from you that what actually attracted. We all know that you are a Keralite, so there is certain kind of that God's own country's cultural instincts which in you which would have brought you to this. But born in Kerala, and a Bharatanatyam and a Kuchipudi artist is a little rare combination of your generation. That is, we are talking about 50 years. From 50 years, you're already performing. I'm talking about more, maybe a near a decade before that. So that time, I think Kathakali and Mohiniyattam were the prominent art forms, and Kathakali for male artists was the we could say only thing except the Kalamandalam, which was giving a formal education in Bharatanatyam too. So, how did you get attracted to Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi very specially, sir?
I think one of the first reasons is that I've lived most of my life outside Kerala. So I was actually, I've lived in Kerala only for 4 years. That was while I was in school between the 7th and the 10th standard. But otherwise, I was born in Vijayawada, and then I lived in Hyderabad, and then in Chennai, and then we finally landed up in Ahmedabad, where most of my growing up has happened, because my father was the editor of Indian Express, and wherever a new edition was starting, he was sent there to take care of that. And my mother was also a journalist, so we followed them. So my most of my studies and everything has happened in Gujarat. So though my Marunada is Kerala, but my Karma Bhumi is Gujarat, and I've lived all of my life here. And when I came in, the reason and the only person I would say who inspired me to start dancing was my sister, Niti Rani Shivram, because at that time she wanted to learn Bharatanatyam, and she voiced that. And my mother would take her to these classes of Mudra School of Classical Dances under Shri Bhaskar Menon and Radha Bhaskar. And I used to tag along because I was a small kid at that time, and I used to watch my sister dance. And after the year, I told my mother that I would love to dance. And my parents, both my father and mother, they've always been individuals who decided and did whatever they wanted to do. And they never deprived their children of the same thing. So she said, fine, if you want to learn dance, we have no problem with that. We should ask the gurus whether they are ready to accept. And I'm sure, and I know that they very readily accepted me, because I was the first boy, I think, in Gujarat who would have entered learning at that time. Of course, there were male dancers who had come from outside Gujarat and who had started, like my own guru at that time. But as a boy, as a male dancer, I was one of the first to start Bharatanatyam at that time. And that's how the journey started. And I never looked back, though my sister, after the Arangetram, did stop dancing. So that was how I began the journey.
So, who was your first guru, and how was your experience of learning your first steps of Tayya Tayi, sir?
See, it is always very important that you get the right people in your life and your foundation is, brought in properly and very strong. And I would say that another reason why I was inspired was also, along with my sister, of course, who had started learning dancing. My father's elder brother, who was living in Madras at that time, and we, of course, were in Madras for a very short time. He was known as a wonderful magician all over Kerala and Tamil Nadu and all that, Professor Bhagyanath. And his daughter, Vidubala, used to be a film personality. She was at the peak at that time. And her brother, Madhu Ambat, was a cinematographer. So we used to go and spend our summers there many a times. And living with her was Kalamandalam Maithili, who used to be teaching Vidu Chechi both Mohiniyattam and Bharatanatyam. And also, she would be part of the whole team of the magic show that my uncle used to do. So Maithili Chechi, in fact, brought in that whole, that feeling for dance and wanting to get into that. And we used to sit and watch Vidu Chechi, and then we decided, okay, we should start. So it began there. But my firm foundation, where I was taught, like you said, Tayate, that was by both Bhaskar Menon and Radha Bhaskar at the Mudra School of Classical Dances in Ahmedabad, because there began my formal training. And then also developing the concept of becoming a serious dancer. That was the beginning of my career.
So you've been part of the world renowned, I would say, and also a paradigm shifting kind of a institute, Darpana Ahmedabad, whom we cannot forget in the history of dancing in the Western zone, especially for Bharatanatyam and also for all other forms of art. When we visit that Darpana Academy, there is that vibrance which we feel, and also that Natrani Auditorium is far some experience without even any a performer standing there, the tree over there, and the river scene backstage. And then somebody, if you dance there, it would, I mean, it's a very spectacular, location it's been located in. In equal to the personalities like Malika Ji and others who have been teaching over there. So, and I think that was the institute which was almost like I could equate to Kalakshetra in the down south for the western part of the country, which really relentlessly worked for the conservation and propagation of classical arts. And you being associated with that and a product of that, rather, I could say, how was your experience when you were learning? Because that was the initial stages. Now we might have various different institutions in Ahmedabad and different cities in Ahmedabad, but cities in the Gujarat. But at that point of time, that was one, like, a cultural center. How is it? It's almost like Sabarmati Ashram, I think, for you all of that zone. So, can you please share us some experiences of yours and its cultural iconography even today, Darpana Academies?
See, my sister and I, when we were learning dance and we finished the Arangetram, after that, I moved to Baroda. And when I moved to Baroda, that is when I had this wonderful chance of meeting Guru Srimati Rama Shrikant there, who was Radhaben's sister. And also, Professor C.V. Chandrasekhar sir was very much part of the MS University at that time. And we all grew up seeing all these wonderful gurus and teachers and all that. So I had a small stint with them. And after I finished my college, when I came to Ahmedabad, uh, of course, I was part of the fine arts faculty in Ahmedabad. So the first thing I would do as a career would be going into working as a graphic designer or something like that. And Kartikeya Sarabhai, who at that time was running Nehru Foundation in Ahmedabad, where my father was also working after he retired from Indian Express. He invited me to join a team of artists there who were working on the Bandipur Tiger project. So I was
Hmm.
very happy because I wanted to go and start working with these people, and they're all big people in the field. So I went there. I started working as a graphic designer there. I was working on a designing a game in the as part of the Bandipur project. And one day, Karthik Bhai called me and he said, Bijoy, today you are supposed to, and from today onwards, you're going to be working at Darpana. So I was like, what happened? So he said, no, no, nothing happened. It's not that we are not happy with you. But Malika Didi said that he's a dancer. So what is a dancer doing in Nehru Foundation? He should be at Darpana. And I was thrilled because even before I joined Darpana, the gurus who were there, along with Amma, Mrinalini Sarabhai, and Malika Didi, Ramaswamy sir, and Chatuni Panikar sir, they were all family friends, and we used to meet at various occasions. So Chatuni Panikar sir and Ramaswamy sir used to tell my parents, put them in Darpana, put them in Darpana. But at that time, since my sister had just finished and she had not decided whether she wanted to continue dance or not, it was in a kind of a dilemma. But when I came back and this offer came, I said, sure enough, I'm going to go to this place which I've always dreamt of. And joining Darpana was kind of awakening for me because, there are phases in your life where first, when you start something, it's because you like seeing it and there is a slight inclination towards it. Then slowly you start watching people who have dedicated their lives in this field, and your passion is woken up with that. And I saw somebody whom I've always seen at a very long distance, watching her on stage and all the beautiful creations that she did. And here was an opportunity for me to be part of that. So I would never want to miss something like that. And I must tell you that it's like, we talk about all fields. When you go to a college, between the four walls of the classroom, a lot can be taught. But the actual experience happens, especially for a performing artist, is when they go out and start performing in the field. The stage matters, the audience matters, the people matter, the critics matter. So for me, when I joined Darpana, I was a very raw dancer. I was still in a very bad stage. I would say that I was not really a very good classical dancer at that time. But they molded me not only as a dancer, but today, if I'm able to organize a program, if I'm able to organize an event, if I'm able to travel, taking my group along with me, learning the logistics of that and the financial aspect of that, all that I learned when I was at Darpana. Because you were not just a dancer there. Amma would want me to do lighting in the production, so I would be running between the stage and the lighting room, doing lighting and dancing and everything. There used to be opportunities where you are given the challenge of doing something with the music, doing something with the costume, doing something with the set. So it was a total learning period at that time. And of course it was, I think, also one of those beautiful periods of Darpana when a lot of creativity was happening through Amma. And then Malika Didi came in, and then there was a different phase of the kind of creativity that was happening. So one got exposed to that. And one main thing, I think, which helped all of us who were there at that time was that we went there as a Bharatanatyam dancer to learn Bharatanatyam and to continue with that, and also Kuchipudi and stuff like that. But Darpana was kind of a nucleus for all artists coming there at all times. So various kinds of artists, contemporary artists and classical dancers, musicians. And even at that time, Darpana was full of life because there was a puppet department which was run by Meherben. There was a drama department which was taken care by Kailash Pandya and Damini Mehta, two big names in the field of theatre. And people like Govardhan Bhai Panchal and many others, used to come to Darpana. So we got exposed to all of them. And they would conduct workshops, and both Amma and Malika Ben would say that even if you're a classical dancer, go participate in that, learn from that. So we used to do, that's how folk dancing also started. A lot of wonderful artists of folk dancers from various states used to come to Ahmedabad, to Darpana, to teach the dances. So there was this group, Janavak, which I was part of in Darpana. And Janavak used to do about 23 to 25 folk dances from various parts of India, whether it is Punjab or Kerala or Tamil Nadu or Andhra or Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, uh, Bihu dance from there, and the Chow, Purulia Chow, and all that. So we learned all this, and that today is helping us because when you, of course, do a pure classical dance performance, it is the repertoire that matters, and the margam matters, and pure pieces matter. But when you do something that is to do with choreography or productions, many times you feel that certain things in that particular style would look very beautiful in your production. So you try and incorporate that. And that is possible because I had this opportunity of learning all these things while I was at Darpana. So Darpana has my all my gurus, like one after the other, are very much responsible in laying the strong foundation in me to continue this in this field.
It's a great thing, sir, to know about the interaction between different artists and the openness of receiving. Sir, can you, if you remember from your memory lanes, I would ask you to name some great shows which you have seen at Natrani, because there were a lot of very prestigious festivals which were organized during that time and even now. But I think the time when you were learning there and there was the best peak time, we could say, where different types of art and artists were already there at that institute. So I think there was also a festival which started in the dusk until the dawn and things like that. There were different types of festivals which were organized at Darpana. So can you name some things which have been there in your memory for a long time?
See, Peter Fry, a director from London, from England, and his wife, Thelma Fry, they both met at a very late age and they got married, I think, when they were 70 or something like that. They were totally in love with each other. And Amma had written a book. Mainly, it was in a way connected with her own life. So, Three Ages of Parvati. That was what the book was called. And she invited Peter Fry to come down to Ahmedabad and live in Ahmedabad. And Peter came with Alma, and there was these sessions where we were made to not only dance, but we were made to act. And at that time, Peter also wanted somebody to work as an assistant with him. So sure enough, I was called for that job, and I loved doing it because there was so much of learning that you could do from that. Because Peter got me to design. He drew various things that he wanted as a set for the play, and then we put our minds together, and I got somebody who a bamboo artist to basically create that whole set the way he wanted, and he was so thrilled when he saw it. He said, this is exactly what I wanted. So, and that play had me sitting with my guru, and we are both playing Natvangam because there is this dancer which is Amma in a middle age, where the performance is going on. We are supposed to be conducting the thing. And can you imagine? I mean, for all of us who are so nervous when your guru is next to you, you're sitting next to him and he's playing the Natvangam, you're also playing the Natvangam, you're also dancing and all that. So that was one production which really stayed in my mind. The second thing was I talked about folk dances. Somebody who took the simple dance of a Sapera tribe from Rajasthan, from the, the sands of Rajasthan, who took it
Ah,
all around the world. Somebody called Gulabo. She came to Darpana, and Kalbelia dance is basically a woman-oriented dance. It is only the women who dance that with full black dress, and they're turning and swirling and snake-like movements and all that. She came and so graceful that it was amazing. None of us could compete the way she was doing, whatever number of days that we practiced. At the end of the day, when she left, we were maybe 25% of what she was doing. But she, at that time, was a nobody. when she came to Darpana. She was just one of those artists from Rajasthan. And today, you won't even get her because she's known all around the world and she's traveling all around the world. Then, not just at Darpana, but Amma has taken us to such places like, for example, this Tagore Festival in Japan. We
Japan.
were we were dancing in Osaka and Tokyo, and both these auditoriums were eye openers to us because I'm talking about the year of 1983, 84, where none of us have seen, or maybe 85, 86, I don't know. But the things that the Japanese auditoriums were advanced. Like we went there and I was in charge of the light, so I was supposed to be sitting with the light man. He said, "Okay, give me your cues." So I said, "What cues? I have it with me in my sheet of paper." So he said, "No, no, no. I can enter the thing as per the no, we are doing live performance, so live musicians. If it's a recorded thing, of course, you know exactly at what second it is coming." But he said, "No, no, that's okay. You just tell me and I can queue it up." And I was shocked to see this today, what everything is happening. It was there in 85, 86, whatever that was. And the whole thing was programmed. The lights were programmed. The sound was programmed. And I got the exposure to learn that. Same thing, Amma created a piece called Parashakti, which
Mm.
basically was performed many times in Ahmedabad.
Yes.
And that was when, I was dancing also, and I was also Tagore Hall in Ahmedabad is supposed to be one of the best theaters in Ahmedabad. And the light room is right on the side. So if you're sitting there and doing the lighting, you literally have to put your head out to see what is happening on stage. So I used to run, go into that light room, do the lighting when Amma was dancing. Then it comes to my turn, I come back on stage. But that piece was taken to Calcutta, and that was my first visit to Calcutta. And I was fortunate enough to, at that time, sit with a great person like Tapas Sen, who's known all around the world for his lighting and who was in much demand at that time. And I had a one-to-one beautiful time during that Parashakti performance in Calcutta, where I could see the skill and we were in awe of the kind of lighting that he was doing. And I was thinking, oh my God, in Ahmedabad, what lighting did I do? And look at the kind of lighting he's doing there. And there were many things like he had come for a workshop and, he did the lighting in such a way at that time. I'm talking about now, of course, all these things you see because you get all these advanced lights now. But you could just see the gungurus of the feet of the dancer. Otherwise, the whole stage was black. And just
Wow.
with the spot, he was able to create that where it is opening, hear the sounds of the gungurus, and slowly the lights open up, and you can only see the gungurus, not even the dancers. So all these experiences, and of course we've had classical, various kinds of, all the styles of classical dances which came there, whether it was Manipuri, whether it was Kathakali. Amma also used to be doing Kathakali performances at that time with somebody like Sashidharan Nair, who was from Kotakal, and Chaturi Padikar sir, of course, was there and all that. And the other thing is that they had wonderful gurus at Darpana. We had somebody who was a walking encyclopedia as part of Darpana. Of course, Ramaswamy sir and all these people. But Guru Shri C.R. Acharyula sir, who was a Kuchipudi guru at Darpana, he is like the contemporary of all those senior gurus whom, you may not even have seen them dance. But Guruji was there at that time, and he was a strong Shiva Bhakt, uh, Shiva was in his blood, that kind of thing. And I remember a very funny moment where we were rehearsing and Kumara Sambhavam was happening, and Malika Didi was Parvati, and Shashidharan Nair was Shiva, and we are all the team of dancers, part of that. And we come to a certain thing where we are all looking down and we are going to Shiva, and Shiva is supposed to open his eyes, and the meditation breaks and all that. And then when we look up, we suddenly see two Shivas standing there, because Masterji was so inspired by the whole thing that he had a bag with him which he always carried. And in that, there was the Jata of Shiva, the whole costume with the Ardhachandra, and the pipe going into his pocket where he would press and water would come out of that. And so he went and he changed and he came and stood there as Shiva, and he felt that, no, that's right, why not? So all these moments, I mean, Amma's one production, because Amma was somebody who, like even Didi, Malika Didi, their thinking is beyond time, you know. So Amma at that time did a beautiful piece called Memory, which is on dowry deaths. And I got to see that production being performed by Amma and Malika Didi and two other senior dancers there. It was just bowls of jatis, nothing else was there. But that piece beginning with a mother whose child is born, and then, you know, her, I mean, who's getting married, and the kind of torture that she goes through, and the small child that she's having, who's a baby girl, and finally ending up into a suicide, jumping into the well, was so touching that you often wonder, where do they get these ideas from, and, you know, how do they do all these things. But like again, Amma was somebody, if she was not down practicing or creating something, she would be up reading. They were voracious readers, and they used to write a lot, both Amma and Malika Ben. So that kind of thing you could see in the depth of the choreography, the work, the philosophy, all that could be seen in the productions.
It's a great insight which you gave about. I think it's a thrilling experience even to listen to you when, I mean, you see Acharyulu sir and Mrinalini ma'am and Malika Didi dance and, show. I mean, to just be with them itself is a great opportunity
Yeah,
for
we are
any dancer.
missing all of them. Didi, of course, I'm still in touch with Didi, and every now and then we meet. But Amma, Mrilali Sarabai, and Chatuni Panikar sir, and Achurulu sir, and we had a beautiful musician, a person who was in the music department also, Purushottaman sir. They were all gems, you know. They were kind of people who gave so much to the society.
That's very true. Sir, with your experience, what do you feel? How important is for a dancer, for a performer? Because, it wasn't there in many of our minds before, because we were trained only to dance. Like, if it was 13 years or 15 years or almost how many ever years we stayed under a guru, it's mostly we learn about the nuances of dance, but very rarely a dancer gets an opportunity to know about the nuances of the other stagecraft or lighting or things like that. But with the advancement of technology in the past 1 decade, we have found that just knowing about dance is not important. The way we present our dance in a technically advanced world of today is very important. And I think that is the call of the day too, because we see wonderful works where it's a culmination of not only a dance or a good music, but it was also about the stagecraft, the place, the way to shot, the lights, and everything. And I think with a large span of experience of yours, that too with, as you just shared in India and abroad. So, how do you feel that it is important for today's dancers to know? Because we have a small component in our masters that's like for 20 marks question to be very, very submissive in front of you, since you are an academician. That for that question, even I read a little bit of lighting where we talk about the color schemes and primary color, secondary and complementary colors and supplementary things like that, and how they use. That's it. And after that, we don't take care, and we generally hire consultants to, I mean, lighting designers who work for us. So if somebody wants to, like, learn, and or if we learn that, what is the advantage as a dancer, sir?
See, I first of all, I wouldn't blame the olden times at that time, because at that
No. Yeah.
time the whole concentration was on your dancing. So you wanted lights to be full and everything to be seen. You know, right from the time when it was in the temple times, where it was in the precinct of the temple, where it was natural lighting, fire and lamps and all that, and then coming into the proscenium theater and the use of lighting and all that. But I think I, for one, saw a lot of that because we have two stalwarts in Gujarat who, at that time, they started actually using all these elements. Because on one side, if I talk about Srimati Mrinalini Sarabai, on the other side, we have somebody like Padma Bhushan, Srimati Kumudini Lakhya ji also. And Kumudini Lakhya ji has, in all her creations, right from the beginning, you know, every minute detail of the performance is something that she looks into. And I've always talked with her and asked her, and she would say, Bijoy, I would even decide what is the color of the costume that the girls would wear. And to do that, I will tell my tailor, okay, bring the fabrics to me. She would place a glass, keep the fabrics on the glass, and combine them and see what happens when different colors of lights fall on the fabric. And that you can see in the performances, because the costumes that the Kathak dancers of Kadam, when they wear, the same color keeps changing because of the various lighting things
Right.
and the aesthetic colors, the pastel colors, a lot of that which she uses. And also, I think she was, I did remember hearing us once say that she was one of those who brought in just white as a costume color in one of her productions, which people were not using at that time. So it is very important, mainly because today, when you are doing most of the dancing in a proscenium theater, the light enhances, especially I wouldn't say it's just solo performances, even in group performances. The light, in fact, takes your eyes, what you're seeing, what you're visualizing. It is kind of also directing your eyes towards the main important things that are you are supposed to visualize. So it is very, very important, because there are many scenes which, diffuse light kind of submerges everybody else, and you know that the spotlight or the area that is specified, that is enhancing the dancer, and that is what you're actually supposed to see. That is what the choreographer wants to see. So all these elements are very important for whoever the person is. I always tell the students in the college, when you come to college, if you come to join Bharatanatyam, that doesn't mean that you don't have to bother about what Kathak is or what Hindustani vocal is or what Carnatic vocal is. Because I said, you go and stand on stage, but without the musicians, you're nothing. So you should know what that is. And that is why we also say, please go and watch everybody's performances, whether it is dance, whether it is drama, or whether it is music, because there are many things that you can imbibe from that and you can put in your own work. So it is always good to watch these things, and whether it is lights, whether it is sets, it all depends. See, like for example, many people believe that great, huge sets matter when you do a production. But somebody like Ratan Thiam, who brought all these productions from the east of India, his the whole theater would be empty. All he would have maybe is one or two platforms and the dancers and lighting and everything, which would, like something like the Mahabharat war. You could see that on stage, the various instances that happened there. So many things like that. So it is not that sets can only enhance the thing. Without sets, also sometimes you can come out with a very beautiful production. The other day, I watched a production of somebody who'd come from abroad, and they had nothing. There were just some people on stage in very dark clothes, but every now and then there would be a group of young girls with a pot on their head, with even a typical this Russian kind of costume, and they would make a kind of a snake line on the stage, and they would go out. But while they are going, they are singing and going there. And that feeling was so beautiful, not just to hear, but also to see the way they were coming and going out. And it never felt out of place. So, all these things, it is very important today. And in our college, also, when we do these productions, or even when it is a performance, we try to make the dancer understand that just
Hmm.
don't go on stage and say, okay, I'm ready, but also look into the other aspects. And that is why we have something called backstage management and set designing and costume designing, lighting designing, music designing. All these things are something that they have to go through by the time they reach the final year, because when they do their productions, these are all things that they're supposed to have experienced.
That's a very interesting fact, sir, because in our curriculum, I think that was a very small component. So that, and also it also requires a practical exposure and an expertise like Bijoy sir to even tell to the students. But still, I feel your students are lucky that they get this kind of an exposure, because understanding that the way the presentation a dancer does becomes very, very different, and also the experience for the audience also enhances in a very different way. Great quality of dance, yes, but if the set and the ambience is also great, the experience becomes much richer. I think that's what we can get from your words. And I would just like to mention that we have wishes from Sai Venkatesh sir from Bangalore.
Oh,
Uh,
thank
he
you.
shares that he has done lighting design for some shows in the open air theatre, Natrani Mandir of Darpana, and he brings wishes to you. So I just wanted to convey that he
Thank
put
you
it in
very
the.
much. See, I also add here somebody like Vaibhav Arekar, if you've seen his performances, when he's doing a regular Margam, fine, but when he does his productions, he's so lucky to have a friend like Sushant Jadhav with him, who's totally doing the lighting for him. And there are many productions which I've seen where the lighting has created such an impression in your mind that seeing Vaibhav dance that and the small, minute movements that he does with where the light is also enhancing the whole thing is so beautiful to see. There are a
Correct.
couple of things like Trayanta, which I had seen of Vaibhav's. At the same time, recently that he did some whole production on Shivaji. Of course, the dancers are strong, fantastic dancers. But Sushant's lighting also really took that whole production to a higher level, and it's very important.
Yeah, sir. And before, I think if it's Bijoy, sir, I thought it like months together before to ask you this question. And today I came to know that you are from a family of media, so that's a added advantage. But sir, what is your overview on dance critics, sir? Actually, before we had great critics, I mean art critics in their true sense, and nowadays there might be critics and might they are not getting opportunities properly, and or the media itself is sidelining cultural critic, or bringing up the components of highlighting what's happening in the city. Just like today there is a show, and there was a show, and there will be a colorful photo which probably we will have to beg them to even win, being very open in this fact. So we sent some photos and they put some photo over there and they said just a caption below it, but it was not that case. If you see reviews of artists prior to 80s, I guess, sir, half page, sometimes a full page of their achievements and then the performances. And if there were some charity shows, they used to highlight why did they do and how great they are and things like that, where a different kind of a experience the critic would, and the critics would also know every nuances of Bharatanatyam or any art form which they are critiquing, so they could link in a very different way, maybe the style, maybe the presentation, and also whatever they gave as a qualitative input, the artists also took it so seriously and they improvised on the next performances of theirs. But this culture, I think, is not present now, is what we generally feel. So what is your take on it, sir?
No, it's very true. It's very true because there were critics like Suburuji and all that. You were
Yes.
so nervous to get onto the stage if you knew he's sitting in the audience. And the same way in Ahmedabad, we had some people like Diggavi ji. He used to be there in the audience, and in the darkness, suddenly, wow! When you hear that, oh my God, he's there in the audience. That's what you'd come to know. And then there was one Mrs. Krishnamurti. Then there was a lawyer who was also a dancer who used to be but what happened down the time is that I remember I did call the press once asking that why is it that you people don't review the performances? So for us, the answer I got at that time was saying that now it is all pertaining to metro cities. It's no longer for smaller cities. So whatever critical this thing is happening, critics are going to be reviewing shows only. So I said, so which means what? You don't have dancers in any other city other than the metro cities? That is ridiculous to say that. And secondly, I think all these critics who were there at that time, of course, there are some very good critics at the moment also, but they are able to write in only certain places or
Yes.
maybe certain websites like what Anita Ratnanji has, Nartaki, where you see certain reviews being written there, or in Delhi in certain papers. But I remember the reason why I may have suddenly got a lot of notice is because of the critical views that used to come in the newspapers of Times of India and Indian Express, where the critics used to write at that time, like whether it was Mrs. Rammurthy or Digaviji or X, Y, and Z. And I always used to speak to them after that, saying, "Thank you very much for pointing out and writing about what wrong I've done,"
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that tells me. because we have a habit, and I think that's a general thing everywhere you go, where after the performance, most of the people, 99.9 people say, wow, what a beautiful performance, very nice, very nice. They'll never tell you, boss, you were bad there, or this was bad, or you should have not done something like this. They'll only praise you, but that doesn't help your growth. So if somebody who really feels for you, knows that okay, you're a serious dancer, you want to do those things, they should tell you that this is not correct, you should not do it this way. And I do remember in my early days when I was very ignorant about, I mean, even the I never used to be a thinking dancer at that time. So I was, Ramaswamy sir taught us Charushile, we were doing the Ashtapadi, and I had this co-dancer with me, and I was busy touching her, and every time I was trying to converse with her, every now and then I was doing that. So the critic very clearly said this was a Krishna who every now and then wanted to see if she was there, so he was going on touching this girl. And so I asked him, why did you say that? He said, because see, the whole expression of Krishna just going and standing near that and even holding her is without holding the person. You can do that. You can emote that. So don't do that. Physical touch is not required. And that's it. That's when I realized, oh yeah, that's true. I mean, what was I doing? And then when I was thinking, I was embarrassed. I said, oh my God, what did I do on stage? But that helped me to correct myself. And I think critical reviews are very much needed. Secondly, I think this whole concept of, see, who can review a performance? Those
Yeah.
people who are also going into the theoretical part of that. And today's children, I wouldn't say that they're not bothered about that. You have amazing young dancers, you have amazing performers, but not many of them like to read like what earlier people used to do. So the in-depth knowledge that all these critics had at that time, if you want to have that, you have to really work for that. You have to study Indian culture, and you have to take a degree in that, and you have to understand everything in that. Then maybe you can go and sit in a performance. Because when you go to review a dance performance, it's not just the performance. You should also understand what music is, and what is that particular song about, and what is what it is talking about, the ragam, the talam, everything matters. So how many youngsters are actually going seriously into that? Not many. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be on stage performing. And that also could be one of the reasons. But uh, the press, definitely, this is the answer I got, and I feel which is very true, because except for metropolitan cities, the other places do not have critics who want to write about it.
I think, don't you feel that that's a serious deficiency of, a proper information being passed about the awareness and, keeping what is right? Because we see only negativities and when only politics, all the pages. Before we had an edition, the Friday edition, Friday review, we used to wait. And I remember in 2000, three, when I finished my Arangetram. It was on a Sunday. I didn't even have proper sleep till Friday. I was waiting for that Friday review, which came in Hindu, and that made my day. And there were a lot of critics. Even now, I mean, recently we all missed Shri Sunil Kothari ji, and we have Mohan Kokar ji, Leela Venkatraman, and we have Shanta Sharabjit and other very great art critics who are there. But I think, as you rightly mentioned, a critic can cover only certain kind of geographical area and constraints, and also their age and their
Yes.
calendars, their events. But I think there needs to be an education itself, as you rightly said, in Ahmedabad and in your institution, especially where you have added the stage management and stagecraft as one of the avenues. I think, is there a need to add journalism also part of certain kind of a master's course, sir?
No, absolutely. See, why masters? Again, this is what I see, because every time we talk about journalism, we only hear that there are master courses. So why is it coming only at that level? We should start it from the bachelor level. In fact,
Yeah.
JG College of Performing Arts and the JG umbrella has now started JG University. And there are many courses that they are planning to have in that. And one of them, I think, would be definitely journalism and mass communication and all that. And I think it should start at that level, because there is so much to know. As for, even if you want to be a critic, it is not an overnight thing that you just keep the
Yes.
book and you read it and you finish it. But there's so much of learning to do. So a proper pedagogy for this, proper system of going from stage to stage, understanding the various art forms which is there around the world, within India and within your region, has to be studied. Then somebody can sit in the audience and do a proper critical review of it. So,
Yeah,
and
because what's happening in today's thing is the reviews are just like, reports. We cannot call them as reviews.
it's
We
an
can say them.
essay. It is an
Yeah,
essay
it's a report. It's
which
like a
begins.
report which we generally prepare that about the facts, but maybe a little bit of adjectives used, wonderful performance and good performance, or some good grammar. They use it, but the meaning would be the same. But are we getting a critical acclaim? Is a very different story altogether. I think. It's a good message, I think, which you should pass through this our forum thing. I mean,
Yes,
that
no,
is
we
actually
definitely we definitely need critics. We need critics in every city because that
yeah,
helps the dancer to grow. That helps
yes,
the artist, whichever field, whether it is music or dance or drama. That helps the artist. And these because I have a collection of press cuttings of that time, which today when people read it, they say, "Wow, is this what you were doing at that time?" So that has so much of value in it. Written things
yes.
and written anecdotes like Mrinali Sarabhai, when I did Adi Shankaracharya at Natrani, I had the opportunity. I was so happy that I got the chance to do that. And she was sitting in the audience, she was sitting on top. Next day, I get a small note from her saying, "Seeing you dance after a very long time, I liked the performance very much. It was beautiful." But just that much meant a lot because it's not somebody who would easily tell that to you, because she would definitely be critical. She would definitely, like Kumiben, for example, Kumudini Lakiaji. I once had a performance where World Dance celebrations, and she had come. She would always come for all our events. And that day I was running around so much that I didn't get the time to look into what the Kathak dancers were going to wear in the performance. So I left it to the dancers. I said, "Sorry, but I may not be able to help you this time. So will you go and choose, select your dress and then get the dress and see that you're having the costume with you?" They said, "Yes, sir, no problem." Now, these are kids who are living in today's jazz world and what do you call hip hop and all these modern dances that are happening on stage. So the Bharatanatyam dancers, I had the chance, so I was able to look at everything. And the show is about to begin. The green room opens and the dancers are coming out, and I get a shock of my life seeing my dancers in a jazzy silverish dress that they had come on to, come out from the room. I said, "Oh my God!" And I knew for sure Kumudini Lakhiaji is sitting in the audience, and I knew she would definitely tell me something about that. So after the event got over, I went out. She said, "I don't want to talk to you. Today, let us not say anything." So I said, "Kumiban, I know why you are angry with me." She said, "What is this?" So I said, "Please call the dancers and tell them because they also have to realize, what they're doing. They thought it was great, but it's because they didn't think beyond what it is that they're going to perform on stage. They were going to do a pure traditional Kathak performance. So in that, you don't do something where you're going to do some Bollywood or that kind of a dance. So sure enough, she told all the dancers, but I'm so happy she did that, and I'm so happy that the dancers also took it so well that in the next performance they did a lot of thinking about what they should wear, and they came with the right dress on stage. So that helps. You have to point out what are the flaws so that next time you don't make the same mistake.
I think even don't you feel that the journals, or maybe the print media also need to give some importance to these kind of cultural performances? Because I mean, they should. I don't know. They should dedicate an edition, or even in the daily basis, having just a column about different. I'm not asking only for dance exclusive, but at least something related to art and culture. If something is being propagated, I think daily in the mind of every person, repeatedly, if he listens and reads about it, I think anything, any shloka will come to us in a similar way. The heritage and art of our country probably would have been propagated in a better way, I think, no, sir. So, what is your opinion on it?
No, no, definitely. And it's also one way of archiving everything that is happening because, see, you cannot
Yes.
reach everywhere. Now, these things, if they take up that thing and every time there is something written or the other, then you are automatically getting a lot of material through them. And that is very important, because how many, like what you just said a little before, how many Sunil Kothari jis can be there, or how many Leela Venkatraman jis can be there, or Sai Ram jis can be there, or whatever. How many? Because they also have their limitation. They get tired, and many times what happens is it is because you don't have these critics that today. Many times you hear dancers saying, "Oh, gali gali mein class hai, gali gali mein there are people Arangetram ke baad they're starting a class." Why does that
Classes.
happen? Because there's nobody to stop that. There's nobody to criticize where you are, and you are told, "Oh, wow, wonderful." In the college, when the mothers come with their daughters for admission, the child is not talking, but the mother is praising the daughter. Oh, she's a fantastic dancer. Oh, TV on karo, and then she's dancing. I said, but that is not what we're doing here, by the way. So please don't come here with those notions. But it is very important, and I think students, this is one more avenue where if we start these courses, serious students, people who are thinking students, people who love reading and learning, and who, like, not just doctorate, but this is also one serious thing that they can get into from the
Yeah.
bachelor's and
Sir, and
become
again, I want to ask you this very small question. People also believe these days that if you pursue a PhD degree, that is a doctoral degree in dance, you can become a critic. Is it true or false, sir?
See, first of all, when you are entering into this whole phase of becoming, getting into a doctorate, you're always selecting a particular subject, right? You are researching on one particular thing. So by researching on just one thing, how do you become somebody who can understand everything else? So that
Beautiful.
doesn't help. It doesn't help because PhD is first. Oh, what is the title? What will I do my PhD on? Everybody is stuck with that, and then they try and get a very abstract title for it so that you can always you can answer anybody's question out of that. There are very few which is content oriented, but a lot of it is done where many times when you read the dissertation or the thesis, you yourself are confused by the end of the whole thing, because you don't know what exactly was really what was the thesis
Portrait.
about. Yeah, so I don't think by just doing a doctorate you become a critic.
Yeah.
A
So there's
critic is a
that small
larger
notion.
canvas.
Yes,
It's
the
a
research
larger canvas.
skills we get improvised, research skills get improvised. You get a good reading and writing skills get improvised, but that
It
doesn't mean
trains you.
you
It
get a
trains you
critical.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
it trains. You see, like in masters, we have the children to prepare a dissertation. That is
Correct.
the foundation, a step for them to understand how do you go get into researching, because you are supposed to choose a subject and write about it yourself, your views about it, your conclusion about it, and all that. So that's the first step. So this is only kind of a step for that. But being a critic means you have to see somebody like Ashish Kokar, because you spoke about Mohan Kokarji. Ashish Kokar, if you listen to him when he's speaking, he brings in things from everywhere in his talk. Suddenly he's talking about one thing, and suddenly there's a reference somewhere else, and suddenly there's a reference somewhere else. Why is that? Because he's read a lot.
That
He's
yes.
done so much of reading that in his talk, and his talk becomes very interesting. So unless you are a voracious reader, unless you're somebody who looks into all the aspects and not just look at one focal point and say, okay, if I just do this, that is enough for me to become a critic, I don't think it helps.
Yeah. Thank you for that answer, sir. Because many of the youngsters think that if I do a research, then probably my critical skills also will improve. Research is different, and critiquing on any sort of topic is different. Thank you for enlightening all of us
No,
with this.
improve,
Yeah.
yes, but you don't reach your destination. So that's the thing.
Correct. Sir, how is the scene of cultural arena in Gujarat, and also you are part of the UNESCO World Heritage City of Ahmedabad, which is a great thing for all Indians, which happened in the last decade, that the whole city, the old part of Ahmedabad, is being declared as UNESCO World Heritage City. So you are also a member of the Gujarat State Academy, the I mean Lalit Kala Academy of your state. So what are the efforts which are being done by the government, and your efforts to, and your means the fraternity of artists and dancers to give that glimpse of cultural heritage of the UNESCO World Heritage City?
See, first of all, I'm very proud to be a Gujarati because it has given me everything that I dreamt of becoming. And I think, like we always say, you cannot expect somebody to do things for you unless you do it yourself. So,
Correct.
what is it that you can do matters. And see, the government also has its own limitations. There are many things that they have to look into. And like when you spoke about me being a member of the Lalit Kala and also the Sangeet Natak Academy, they're all three-year phases where the members keep changing at that time. So even like a Senate member, I was a member for 5 years. After that, a new team comes and all that. So there are things while you are part of that where you can merge into that and help them do that, which I did when I was I'm very much thankful to Kumudini Lakhyaji and Kailash Bhai Pandya that at that time when Sangeet Natak Academy was there and the chairperson was somebody who was a fantastic theatre person from Baroda, Shri Markan Bhatt. So he was the chairperson, and Kumiben was watching me and Preksha, the organization that I was running, the kind of work that I was doing in that. So she, in one of the meetings, said, "Okay, we need this boy in this because he's young, he can run around. We are all at a certain age where now we can't do that kind of work." So she very strongly recommended my name, and Kailash Bhai Pandya seconded it, and I became a member at that time. And I think I was one of the youngest members at that time. But those years after that, where we traveled all over Gujarat and we promoted um, musicians, folk musicians, classical musicians, folk theatre, bhavai and all that, and also folk dancers and classical dancers. So at that time, I was able to at least be part of that and help in whatever way I could. But after that, it became my responsibility that, okay, now I don't have that portfolio where I can be part of that. So that's why in Preksha, I started doing all this work where I was bringing not only artists from outside, but sorry, but I was also including a lot of artists from Gujarat as part of all the events that I was doing. And that has helped me because today, when I am heading a college, people from the world of theater, people from the world of music and the world of dance know me. And so when I approach them, they're very ready to help out. And I've never really met anybody who says, "Oh, Bijoy, sorry, but we will not be part of it." They've been very much part of that. And one very beautiful instance I remember is in '97. There was a lot of uproar about a lot of trouble that is happening in Gujarat and human rights violation and all that. So I decided, okay, I must do something about it. So I thought, okay, I'll have a tour program with a couple of artists, and that'll be a silent protest against human rights violation. So I approached a couple of people that I knew very well, saying, "Will you perform in this?" And nobody said no. So one after the other, then I said, "Oh, everybody seems to be happy about this whole thing and idea." And the fact that it was something also going against the government at that time. So I thought people will not be very ready to do it. But we were not doing a violent protest. It was a silent protest where every artist on that respective field would come and perform something. Whether it was a poet, whether it was a painter, whether it was a dancer, or somebody in the theater world and all that. And you won't imagine, one day I was walking, I was going on the bike and I saw one lady on the street, worker, construction worker. She was begging for food in the evening, but she was singing loudly and she had a beautiful voice. And the people like Shubhaji came into my mind, and many the thick even Usha Utupji and all that, because that kind of heavy voice that they have. I said, wow, but she was singing bhajans. So I said, this lady I must hear. So I called her to my friend's house, which was very close by, and I sat and listened to her. And then I told her, I'm doing some event like this. Will you open the event? Will you come? So she said, first of all, the venue that you have is very far away. I stay very far away. I don't have the money. I said, no, I'll take care of all that. I'll reach you to that venue, but will you? She was very happy. She came, and we had all the great artists of Ahmedabad present there at that time. They were shocked. They said, "Where did you find her?" And then after that, she got the opportunity to go to various places and perform. But that day created a big mark, and the press was going crazy about it. We had both the television media and the thing was one. It was a silent protest against human rights violation, but we it started the event at 8 in the morning, and every 15 minutes I had artists changing, and we went on till 10 in the night. So 14 hours of performances. And it was amazing. I didn't even think I could pull something through, but it was only because of the support of all these artists. And that helped, So we are doing all these things. It is not just that, but I've been working with the. One day I was called by the leprosy hospital here in the outskirts of Ahmedabad, and they said that we are celebrating the 50th year of the hospital. Will you come and dance? We have the health minister coming as the chief guest. So I said, I don't think I want to dance in that. Will you give me a private audience with these people? So they said, no, everybody wants to perform when all these people are there. I said, no, I'd like to do a different thing. Okay? So is it possible that I can perform later? So they said, okay, but you have to come on that day. Yes, I went for that. But 2 days later, they announced saying that so-and-so is going to come and perform for you. And you won't imagine, believe it, all the patients who were there. Normally, dinner time used to be it was a stretched out thing where people would trail in and sit and eat and, go back and all that. But that day, they were told that at 7 o'clock was the performance. They were in the hall at 5 o'clock to eat. They wanted to finish their dinner and be there. And when I came to the hall, they were sitting about 15 feet away from where I was dancing, all of them very excitedly waiting. So I said, why are you sitting there? So this nun who's running the place, she said, no, Bijoy, that is fine. I said, no, it's not fine. I don't enjoy, dancing for a gap over here. There's nobody sitting right in front of me. I'd love people to be close by. She said, no. I said, but why are you doing this? This is not contagious, and there's no reason for you not to do that. So she persuaded them. They would not come forward. Finally, they did come forward. And then I did 2, 3 bhajans, and I did something on Shiva. I did something on Krishna. And you won't believe it. They were saying, they were falling at the feet and they were saying, you are our Krishna, you're our Shiva. And they said, we've never seen something like this. These are things that is kind of rewarding for all of us as artists. Because I think today, even just like you talked about critical reviews, even many a times you don't get the right accolades from the right place. So these people who express their views really boost your energy of wanting to dance.
Sir, I think we should have for some 4 to 5 hours or more of such kind of talk. I
It would be better
think
we
no, no,
actually
no.
went.
Such kind of a plethora of work which we could not even discuss a bit of it also today, but respecting your schedules and your time, we are very very grateful to you to have you on board for Sankatha. And thank you, and a wonderful opportunity. We thank you from all the community of dancers and teachers. Especially, you have given opportunity for more than, I think, 100 artists during the lockdown. I think 100 would be a minimum number, but more and more people. And also, you have made sure that though it's an online festival, it's been featured and been recorded on print media, and sometimes it's also on the telemedia. So that was a wonderful conversation, and the way you expressed how the cultural arena keeps changing and what your responsibility. That's the biggest question. Blaming others is something which is very easy from everybody. Given an opportunity, we can perform, as you rightly said about that 3 year or 4 year tenure of your responsibility given by the government or any other NGO. But as we say, nirantaravagi, something which is ongoing, something we need to have something flowing, which people recognize us and elect to that. I think our work should speak, is what you are telling. And I have been having wonderful interaction with you in the past 1 year. It's really great to know about you itself, sir, because I should thank COVID for this, because we came to know about an artist, a great artist like Bijoy ji, because I've been to Darpana many times. Because whenever I've been to Ahmedabad, I make sure that I visit Gandhi Ashram, and then next spot is Darpana Academy. The earthy environment with the red color paint and the way we enter the Natrani Mandir itself is a great experience. Uh, and I think people like you need to become more and more in number. You need to inspire more of people across the globe. And I think we expect more and more contributions from you in future. and keep blessing all the upcoming artists, which is your main motto. And we will take up one more session on how your dance is healing the other kind of ailments like leprosy and things like that, which we couldn't cover today. And I think we should have a special session on that. And I'm sure we will be on board very soon, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for making me part of the series of Sankatha. And in fact, if all these artists were there, it is because they supported me and they helped me and they blessed me with this. So without that, I don't think I would ever have been able to do so many episodes. So I thank all the artists because it's just with one request, they said, yes, we'll be part of that. And that is very important. This whole idea of sharing and the community, the artist community is, though we are global, but it is still a very small community. And I think being together means a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Namaste.